And the last tip that I would give companies is hire for the future. Don't bring the leaders you need now. Bring the leaders that you need 5 years from now to help you get there. You really need to hire the leaders for where you want to go versus for where you're at right now. And yes, it does require investment as well as an ability to take them on the journey. But again, critically important for us as a company and for companies at our size as well.
Hi everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of All About HR. My name is Nelly, and on today's episode, I get to talk to Anna Buber-Farovic. Anna is the Chief People and Culture Officer at Zipco, an Australian-based fintech company. Our conversation was all about taking a leap of faith. This is something that Anna did herself when she decided a little over a year ago to join Zip from Google. But we also looked at companies having to take a leap of faith right now in these crazy times. And we touched on how you can build an engaging culture and how you can make sure to scale that culture. All the more reason, I think, to check out this episode straight away. But, as you know, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and like this video. Welcome to another episode of All About HR. Hi everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of All About HR. And today I'm being joined by Anna Buber, and she's joining us from Australia. Hi Anna, how are you?
Hi, I'm all good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm super happy to have you. So Anna, let me introduce you briefly, and then you can say a few words about yourself, of course. So Anna is the Chief People and Culture Officer at Zipco, and Zip is an Australian fintech company. Anna, perhaps you can say a few words about yourself and Zip as well.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for that. So we're actually a global digital payments experience, hoping to become the first and leading, actually the best Australian company in the world. I've joined Zip about a year ago, leaving Google after almost a decade to work very, very closely with Larry and Pete, our founders, to really establish the best Australian brand globally.
Nice. Okay, Anna, so I thought for today's conversation, I saw an article of yours not too long ago. It was, I think, when you were just over a year with Zip. And the title of the article really resonated with me. It was "What's Stopping You from Taking a Leap of Faith?" Now, I thought we could definitely explore that today, starting with, I think, your own leap of faith, because you left Google at a time where people just started to worry about COVID and things that were happening in the world. And you still decided to make the decision and join Zip. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what drove you to make that decision.
Well, there are actually a few things there. So first of all, we are a founder-led company, and I was really, really excited and looking forward to work with both Larry and Pete. I think they're amazing, value-driven people, and quite different from one another, I must say. It's more like a yin and yang, and it's an extraordinary experience to work with both of them. Again, big tech, Google, an amazing company. Some would say the best company in the world. I've definitely enjoyed quite a few amazing, interesting roles there across different markets, different teams. I was definitely ready to get my hands dirty again and start creating things from scratch. And a founder-led business was definitely the right leap of faith for me. I could tell you that I probably learned more in the last 18 months with Zip than I learned last, I would say, 6 years at Google, because definitely different learning experiences. But here I was really able to help the company through the COVID times, to really support leaders and employees through the more challenging times, but also through amazing amount of sort of growth and expansion for Zip. And I was really able to take my ex-Google toolkit or backpack that I'm carrying with me with pride and to really implement them here and for all our Zipsters globally. So really, really proud of myself that I had the courage to take that on, but also for sticking with it longer term. It's been an amazing 18 months, and I'm proud to be here.
I imagine, yes. I mean, all the challenges that COVID has brought, and all the the worries for many companies and organizations. I think it is in a way also a very exciting time to be joining a company as you did. I think we'll touch on that a little bit later on today as well. So I will definitely come back to that to explore it a little bit further. First, though, Anna, if we look at companies, as we said, past year has been crazy. So many companies, they can feel that in a way they are now having to take a leap of faith of their own as well. But that obviously also comes with risk. Maybe can you, from your own experience, also at Zip, have you got something to say about how companies could perhaps mitigate that risk a little bit when it comes to taking a leap of faith?
So I would definitely say that for me personally, dreaming big is a skill that you need to have if you are thriving to become bigger and better than you currently are. And when you have that dream and a compelling vision that drives you, you can really rarely make huge mistakes. You obviously will have bumps in the road, but I would like to look at them as detours versus the end of the road. And if you're thinking about things from an expensive lens while dreaming big and thriving for tomorrow, I think you mitigate that risk through the larger and bigger vision. I would definitely say that your people will be the people who will stand by you when it comes to taking chances. So being tolerant to failures and making mistakes and almost celebrating losses is a huge skill to have as an organization and as a leadership team. And the last thing I would say is to have trust and faith in a better tomorrow. I know it sounds a bit woo, but I'm a strong believer in that. To really know that even if today was hard, tomorrow is yet to come and it will be better. And if you know that it's not the end of the road for you and tomorrow will come, you'll have another chance to get up and try again. So mitigating risk is all good and great. And I know that in the HR we have compliance and risk mitigation techniques, etc. I'm a big believer in dream big and act bold as much as you can.
Nice. I like that. And I like the positivity as well around that. Now, here's another thing that I'm wondering about, Anna. It's when we talk about companies, HR, we're all about being data-driven and making data-driven decisions. And yet, perhaps there should always still be a little bit of that gut feeling involved. What are your thoughts on that right combination between making data-driven decisions as an organization and gut feeling?
So again, coming from Google is a very data-driven company. We rarely made any decisions without data. I definitely brought that to Zip. We have quite substantial people analytics capabilities, and we are collecting data, robust data on a daily basis, whether through the people partner function, engagement surveys, pulse checks, etc. This being said, you know how you sometimes can look at a spreadsheet and within a few moments to almost feel what the problem is and just kind of find it quite quickly. I do believe that, especially for us, those who have been here for a while and have a lot of experience, we know in our gut where the data is telling us. So combining the two is critically important. I can tell you that I've made decisions based on data in the past and was wrong, and was really rarely wrong when I followed my gut. So I would definitely encourage leaders across the board. If something tells you that something is off, it usually is. So listening to both is important. Continue collecting data. Definitely listen to your employees. Definitely listen to your leaders, and absolutely use data to educate yourself in your decision-making processes. But your gut will rarely be wrong.
Yeah, and I believe you had a really, really beautiful example of that at Zip, I think, Anna, right? Because this is what you recently implemented in terms of leave, I think, around miscarriage. Wasn't that a really good example?
Yeah, so we've launched a global policy around post-miscarriage and abortion support for all our staff, regardless of tenure or their location across the globe. And interestingly, that idea came to me over just one of my long weekends, which is quite random. And I had a gut feel of this is going to be big and impact the world. And obviously we have data to show that every 1 in 4 women experience miscarriages. And obviously, even if we're supporting not only the women who experience the process themselves, but also their partners, we will have a tremendous impact on our organization. But we also obviously had a call out to other companies to follow us in this process. I had a gut feel it's going to be huge. I didn't have enough data to support that. And I did follow my gut on that. That was probably one of the more impactful things launched in Australia from an employee perspective till today. And not from a perspective that other companies don't support employees during their time of grief. I think that many do, is the fact that people don't talk about it and almost launch it as a family support system. I think that having a conversation, an open and honest conversation around bereavement during or post miscarriages is critical for the healing of the women that experience that loss and their partners as well. And I think that this is where we change the world. And that was not based on robust data that came from employee engagement survey. It was more of this might have something, let's give it a try.
Yeah, exactly. That's more something that was driven, I think, by, well, I think we, in a way, we could call it common sense. I'm not sure if it's the right term, but it's just thinking about us as humans and what might be valuable for us. So I think this is a fantastic example of how sometimes an initiative that more comes from a gut feeling can definitely have a tremendous impact. And then probably the positive data around that will come afterwards. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I'd like to slightly change tack here and explore a little bit the building of a culture, of an engaging culture, Anna. So first of all, how would you describe a culture that engages? What are some key elements in that kind of culture?
So I think that an engaging culture would be a culture in which leaders and everyone in an organization walk their walk. I've seen quite a few examples in my career, not necessarily at Google where I work, but through my networks where people kind of like, what does Google do? What does Netflix do? And let's just then sort of co-create with the big tech versus what do we stand for? What do we care about? And how do we bring it to life? People almost don't trust themselves in that space. For me personally, and I've been lucky enough to be a part of an amazingly engaging cultures. And these cultures are literally walking their walk on a daily basis. So if we at Zip say we're stronger together, then the founders are stronger together with the business every single day. If we say we're going to change the game, we are changing the game, both in product, in people practices, and everything we do on a daily basis. Something that I tell to my team every single day is that I joined Zip to build the best company in the world. And everything that I do on a weekly basis feeds into that mission. Everything that doesn't fit into that mission, I would deprioritize or not do. So everything that we do as a team needs to fit into the same mission. So if you wake up in the morning and have so many things on, what would build the best company in the world? What can I do to contribute to that vision? And I would leave that every single day. So the only thing that one of the only tips I actually give my leaders is that you need to walk your walk. And when my founders, and I'm lucky enough to work with the two that do walk their walk, do that on a weekly, monthly, and daily basis, it's really easy almost to create an engaging culture that employees love, recommend, and thrive in.
Would you say that the pandemic has made that more challenging to make sure that people are walking the walk and to really keep that culture alive?
I think the pandemic made the connection or the human connection more challenging than in the past. Zip specifically is a very engaging and interpersonal culture, and having that, bringing that to life or keeping that alive remotely was more challenging than in person. When the founders walk the walk and chat to everyone in the business, ask the names of people they have never met and what they do, have a seat next to them and have coffee together during the all hands, present in an open amphitheater kind of way, it is harder on Zoom, absolutely. And I also strongly believe, and again in Australia, very, very lucky, when we did have the opportunity to reopen the offices filled up with people quite quickly because this is where our passion lives. We are heading into a world that will create different experiences, and we will continue managing differently and leading differently. We'll definitely need to make sure that we are continue creating an inclusive culture where those who work remotely or can work only remotely feel included and empowered and don't feel like second-class citizens. But I do believe that we are a long way away from creating an identical experience remotely, the one that we can actually create in person. But we're definitely in a space where we have a hybrid workforce, and we're definitely try to implement tools, practices, and rituals that will help us keep it alive.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, and I think it makes sense at the same time that we don't have the same experience yet remotely as we did in person, because this is still relatively new, of course, for most of us. So I think we should also be kind to ourselves and give ourselves a little bit of time to get there in the end. Now, Anna, I was wondering as well, how do you, from, let's say, a people team perspective, put the emphasis as well on the importance of everyone living the values that you have in the company?
So I could definitely share with you on how we bring the values to life at Zip, and then specifically touch upon the way I choose to run my team. So when it comes to Zip, the how we work together and our values are crucially important, both founders, the leadership team, but also to Zipsters. And you can't really talk the talk without walking the walk. And this is why we hire against our values, but we also performance manage people against our values. And our performance processes runs at 50-50 ratio. Your 50% is the what you do, whether it's how many sales you've made, what kind of code you wrote, what the quality of the code was, the speed of the coding, or code reviews, etc. And the other 50% is how you work, how you change the game, how you supported your colleagues in Stronger Together, how did you own your problem and kind of lived up to the challenges, etc. And all these values are evaluated by the leaders, both by Zipsters and the leaders, and our eventual, or the end goal from like a performance review cycle rating will incorporate 50% the what, but also the 50% of the how. And this is how we rate employees across the globe. As I've mentioned to you in the past, if we don't walk our walk and we just say, well, values are important, they're important, but they're as important as anything else that we do. Now, from my personal perspective and how I choose to lead my team, in my team, the how is more important than the what. And I can tell you that those people who are an outstanding performers on my team, they're outstanding on their how they change the game, how innovative they are, how they support their colleagues, how big they are on new innovative ideas and taking ownership, just running their own race almost of changing the world and helping me change the world with the founders. People who have chosen to leave the team or left the team due to performance issues, we're actually gapping on the how. Those people who didn't choose to support their colleagues or chose to be almost an independent island of success, that is actually not going to work with the teams that I lead globally. And the Stronger Together is one of the more crucial values that I value, both when I hire the people on the team, but also the way I lead. And the reason being is that I would love for the team to be inclusive and supported without me being there. And being a global leader, I can't be at all geographies at all times. And as I empower leaders on my team to create the right culture, I think that the Stronger Together and Change the Game will be crucial values for us. And I definitely hold them sacred when it comes to my team.
Yeah, thank you for that. But I think this is a really, really great way to make sure that it's not just talking about values, as you say, and it's not just slapping them against the wall so that they look pretty, but it's actually making sure that they are being lived and that people are actively encouraged actually to live those values. So I really, I really like this way of going about performance management, so to speak. Anna, another thing that I really want to talk to you about was building for scale. And this comes back to the article of yours that I talked about earlier, because you mentioned that when it comes to building for scale, you learned a lot of things, but two things that you learned were, one, to hire the best, and two, to build a senior team. And what I wanted to start with here is, as a scale-up, it's not necessarily always easy to hire the best talent. The company can still be relatively unknown, so people, in a way, take, there it is again, a leap of faith. How can you still attract top talent then?
I think at the beginning of this interview, we talked about dreaming big and betting hard. As I mentioned, walk my walk on a daily basis. And I strongly believe that we will and are building the best company in the world. And I believe that people who join us will have the best opportunity to build the most amazing careers of their lives. And that's the way we attract talent. So as you mentioned, we're not Google and Facebook, so the brand potentially less known in other markets. And yet we, in the last 18 months since I've been here, were able to attract outstanding talent. And that is being an innovative hub that empowers everyone to ship, sell, and build outstanding careers. We are quite transparent around what is possible during our interview process. We hire against the what, but also against the how. And when people see that our values are critically important for us, we inspire them to dream big with us. And in a war for talent, when it comes to the tech space here in Australia, it becomes tighter and tighter. The pool is quite small. You won't be able to win on compensation or free breakfast. You'll actually be able to win on creating meaningful opportunities for people to really have impact and thrive to be the best. And yes, we are also not for everyone. So people who would like to have a more comfortable and I would say potentially more balanced day of working, the classic 9 to 5 with a gym at the office will definitely not choose Zip as the employee of choice. But people who are here to build innovative products and really make a difference in the world and creating a debt-free society that allows them to responsibly lend, but also repay, and to learn how to be financially responsible. I definitely think that we are able and will continue attracting the best people for us in the market.
Yeah, and and I think what you said about we're not for everyone, I don't think it's a bad thing that you're not for everyone. That goes for all companies, as long as I think you're honest about it.
Yes. We are absolutely fully transparent in our hiring process against the expectations, the pace of Zip, the amount of things that are happening here simultaneously, absolutely. And I think that when you're working for a high growth scale up globally, you do have the opportunity to create amazing things and build amazing things and create them without too many bureaucratic processes in place as well. For me personally, it's a huge, huge win. And you also need to be comfortable with the pace of the company and the pace we move and the pace we ship things. And some things that I do here in weeks would have taken me years at Google or at Commonwealth Bank. But we are not Google or Commonwealth Bank, we're at Zip, and we're moving the Zip pace, and the people who join us need to be comfortable with that and embrace that as much as they embrace innovation as well.
Absolutely. Coming back one more time to being intentional about building that senior team, because I can absolutely see the advantages of that, because people, they are self-sufficient, they are experts in their field. At the same time, I think hiring senior people, there are maybe some elements as well that you are more mindful of. Can you tell us something about that?
So I think Zip has been on the journey of building a global executive leadership team for a while now. And again, it's representative of where the company is from a growth and maturity perspective. We are still in a rebuild phase when it comes to the global exec across the board. This being said, I personally believe as a people leader that building an efficient and collaborative executive leadership team that can drive the company towards its North Star is critically important for both us, the company, but to any company at our size and scale. A huge market cap, ASX listed, definitely need leaders that are based in Australia and our major markets such as New York and the UK to join us and continue leading the way in this space. We're in market for key critical roles as we speak. Global CTO, global CISO just signed his offer starting in a In a couple of weeks, we are hiring a general counselor that will support Peter Gray, one of our co-founders, and when it comes to our legal and compliance, or building our legal and compliance functions. We are starting to mature as a company, and these functions will be crucially important for us as we scale into the future. We are growing through acquisition as well as organic growth, and key hires in the tech and product space, but also in the more of a compliance legal space will be critical for us as well. And as we come together as a leadership team and helping, again, for me and my vision, Larry and Pete, to build the best company in the world, we need those people at the table to help us do that. This being said, without having the leaders in place, our Zipsters are outstandingly amazing humans, and they drive the company into the future without us actually having these leaders. And I believe I was the first people or executive people leader at the table after the company has been established and now existing for 7 years. I do believe that my job could have potentially been easier if I joined earlier. But, Larry would say on the other end, I probably would have joined earlier. So here it goes, like a chicken and an egg. You really need to find the right time. And when you bring the right leaders on board, and the last tip that I would give companies at our size and scale is hire for the future. Don't bring the leaders you need now. Bring the leaders that you need 5 years from now to help you get there. There's a great saying that I probably have seen on Instagram. If you want to get from point A to point B, you need to become the person at point B. So you really need to hire the leaders for where you want to go versus for where you're at right now. And yes, it does require investment as well as an ability to take them on the journey. But again, critically important for us as a company and for companies at our size as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Anna, circling back to that leap of faith one more time, when we are going back to that, and then so we have leap of faith versus, let's say, informed decision dichotomy, what role has technology played in your process of scaling the company? A few words on that, maybe.
An interesting point. We actually have been scaling the company without a tech stack. So obviously we have an hugely innovative product stack, and we have 2 main stacks that are now operating for us globally, actually a bit more. So the people tech stack is being rebuilt as we speak. We're actually scaled quite rapidly without having the proper infrastructure in place. We've recently launched Bamboo HR to be our global HRIS and Lattice to manage our performance review process, etc. I'm looking into a customized communication platform that was designed by Laszlo Bock, who was head of people and culture at Google for many, many years. Laszlo is a dear friend, and he has designed an outstanding product that I'm hoping to launch at Zip soon. It's still coming together, so you can do it without having a solid tech stack in place. It is harder and less scalable, and I'm feeling the pain of it as we speak, but it's doable. It's doable and it is possible. The one thing that I would say to people leaders and to business leaders, if you don't have a people person in place, do not compromise on your tech stack. It's better for you not to have anything in place than to have something that doesn't work. And I have seen mistakes been made here prior to my joining, I must say, in that space. And switching systems is harder than reintroducing a proper one when you're ready to scale. And yes, I wish I could have Workday, but $5 million is a huge investment. So not for everyone, but making the right decisions at the right times. That's what I would say for the tech stack. I am in market for a people operations lead, so definitely someone, again, that I will need 5 years from now. So investing today, critically important, and hopefully that leader will be able to bring this together for us as a cohesive employee experience. But again, important, but you can win without it.
Yeah, really great message again. You can win without it. And also, I think second key message here, don't compromise. Now, Anna, this is absolutely the last part of our conversation. What we like to do with our guests always is to ask them to share either an epic win or an epic fail with us, because our show, All About HR, it's all about what can we learn from each other's experiences, and can we share some learning moments that can help others or that can be funny or inspiring. So Can I ask you, what kind of epic fail or epic win would you like to share with us?
I'll share both.
Oh, nice.
So from an epic failure perspective, and I'll use some of my parenting learnings. I have 2 beautiful kids, and my little girl that's so little is now turning 12 and behaving as she's 17. So at times pleasurable, but it's a painful experience.
So she's already 5 years in the future, Anna.
Yeah, in the future. Here you go. She's building to scale. I, as a mother, I have this tendency of, and again, based on my past experience, of trying to create the best environment for her, like, the best school, the best, friend group, the best, whatever. And at times our children have their own choices and their own wishes that not necessarily are aligned with ours. And I have found myself to almost trying to not force my decision on her, but convince her to, to go to the private school because it's such a better choice. And she made it quite clear to me that she has her own life, her own choices, and she would like to make those decisions herself. And I think that we have the tendency as a parents, but also as leaders to, we've been around, we know what's worked, we know that bamboo HR is the best. And yet, even the most young and unexperienced employees on our teams have and should have the empowerment and the ability to make their own choices on how they lead their careers, how they manage themselves, etc. So forcing almost our view there will not be helpful. And that's kind of my learning as a parent. And one of the smartest things one of the leaders here at Zip told me is, don't treat people how you would like to be treated, treat them how they would like to be treated. So that's definitely a learning from me. And on my, I'd say, greatest success, I'll go back to my leap of faith. As soon as you have made a decision and you know that's the right decision for you, just leap and never look back. And going back to your first question to me, leaving Google in the midst of COVID, etc., I actually left before COVID. And my biggest success with myself actually is staying with Zip instead of going back. So as soon as you leaped, burn your bridges, burn your boats, there is no turning back. And, I'm glad I stuck with it, and I'm glad I'm here. So I definitely believe that as soon as you jumped, just believe in yourself and move forward. And that's it for me.
Wow. That was kind of the perfect ending to our conversation, Anna. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that's it for us today. Thank you everyone for listening. Don't forget, as always, to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and like this video. Thank you so much, and see you again next week. Bye.